Yeah, I know your baby mama fond of me. All she wanna do is smoke that broccoli. These are lyrics to a song called Broccoli by Drum that bring up some interesting questions. Well, first things first, the broccoli in the song is not the green cruciferous vegetable found in the produce aisle at a grocery store, but rather another name for marijuana. Okay, and there's a woman, and she has a baby, and she's on a mission to smoke broccoli, marijuana. So, should Drum let her smoke that broccoli? Remember, the woman has a baby. Although we don't know exactly how old the baby is, we just know she's a mama to a baby. If she's pregnant with a baby in her belly, is it okay for her to use marijuana? If the baby's out of the womb, but breastfeeding, is it okay for her to use marijuana? What should Drum do with a baby mama who wants to smoke broccoli?
Down with DCE.
Yeah, you know me.
You down with DCE?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with DCE?
Yeah, you know me.
Who's down with DCE?
Under the topic of prenatal teratogens, most college child development courses don't give much attention towards the discussion of marijuana. When I ask students in class if pregnant women should use cocaine or consume alcohol, the quick answer is always no. But when I ask them if marijuana is safe to consume while pregnant, some say no, some say yes, and many are unsure. As the legalization of marijuana spreads across states in the U.S., it is essential to inform students about the science behind marijuana usage in pregnancy, so that social media and dispensaries are not the main source of information on this topic. To begin, one thing that is very clear from research studies is that using marijuana while pregnant has increased greatly in recent years compared to in the past. Here's data from one study that found that overall, among pregnant women, the prevalence of past month marijuana use increased 62% from 2002 through 2014. Younger pregnant women between 18 and 25 years of age report higher use compared to older pregnant women between 26 to 44 years of age. While this data provides some great insight, there are many limitations to this study. First off, it is based on self-report data. There's a limitation to this because women can decide to report the truth or decide not to. If a researcher asks you, have you used marijuana during your pregnancy, how likely are you to reveal the truth? Second, they only ask about quote-unquote past month use, meaning we do not learn if some women are frequent users, if they used marijuana over a month ago, nor do we learn in what format they used marijuana. Here is a trend graph from a different study conducted by Kaiser Permanente on 279,457 pregnant women living in Northern California. In addition to asking pregnant women to self-report their marijuana use, they also performed a toxicology screening for traces of marijuana usage in urine. This report corroborates the previous graph documenting higher rates of prenatal marijuana use in more recent years compared to previous years. A difference, though, was found when comparing self-report versus toxicology report. The toxicology reports showed that traces of marijuana were found for many more women than they self-reported to. Not all the women were fully transparent about using marijuana during their pregnancy. The prevalence of prenatal marijuana use is much higher than self-report data indicates. So, more pregnant women are using marijuana in recent years compared to previous years, and prevalence rates seem higher in younger women between 18 and 25 years than compared to older pregnant women over 25. But why? Why is prenatal marijuana use on the rise? A quick Google search will reveal many potential reasons why pregnant women use marijuana. Perhaps the most common is its use to attempt to help with nausea from morning sickness. There are many other claimed beneficial uses of marijuana products, but that is beyond this video and this class. A related reason for the rise in prenatal marijuana use may be because of the mixed messages that exist. For example, A recent study explored the types of messages disseminated on Twitter about marijuana use and infant and maternal health. The majority of the tweets carried a neutral tone, suggesting uncertainty about the health effects associated with pre- and postnatal marijuana exposure. However, the sources attached to the tweets were more likely to report on negative health outcomes. Another study made anonymous calls to dispensaries to see what those working at the dispensaries would suggest for pregnant women. Nearly 70% of the marijuana dispensaries recommended cannabis products to treat nausea in the first trimester. The majority, 65%, based their recommendation for use of marijuana products in pregnancy on personal opinion, and 36% stated cannabis use is safe during pregnancy. Social media is spreading messages about prenatal marijuana use that are more neutral than the original sources, and there are dispensaries claiming that marijuana is safe during pregnancy and basing this on their personal opinion. So, what does the research actually say? Let me start by showing this research study. Sometimes individuals will mention the quote-unquote Jamaican study as support for prenatal marijuana use. So let's take a look at it. Here is the abstract for that study. If you need to, you can pause the video to read over it. Now, yes, it is a published, peer-reviewed research study, but how strong of a study is it really? When you read the abstract, do you notice any weaknesses or limitations to the study and its methodology? Pause the video. If you need to, read the abstract and let me know what limitations or weaknesses you can find. Without even reading the full article, students in classes can quickly spot many limitations to the study just from the abstract. Here are a few that students commonly find. First, it's a small sample size. Notice how the authors even worded the sample size awkwardly to perhaps hide how small the sample really is. The authors use an entire sentence to mention that there were 59 children in the study, which doesn't sound too small, right? But in the very next sentence, they reveal that only half of those 59 children were actually exposed to marijuana. Second, the study was published in 1991. That's quite outdated. Why has there not been another study since that quote-unquote supports prenatal marijuana use? Why has another study not replicated these results? For those who support the idea that prenatal marijuana is safe, why do they cite just one study, and why is it that that study is so old? And lastly, does this article actually support prenatal marijuana use? Read over the results. Do those children exposed to marijuana show any real benefit over those children not exposed? There were not any significant differences between the groups. This study only implemented a few measures of development. Perhaps the effects of marijuana would show up with different measures. There are other limitations, of course, but these are a few important ones. We'll discuss research methodology soon, but you can see how important it is to go back to the original studies and not rely on second or third party interpretations of research, especially when on social media platforms. If you do a quick search for recent research on prenatal marijuana use, you can now find a superabundance of studies, and most of them seem to suggest a clear, cautious concern. While research continues to unveil knowledge surrounding prenatal marijuana use, one should consider the documented risk associated with using marijuana if you are pregnant. The CDC has produced a brief summary of risks. Some research shows that using marijuana while you are pregnant can cause health problems in newborns, including low birth weight. Breathing marijuana smoke can also be bad for you and your baby. Marijuana smoke has many of the same chemicals as tobacco smoke and may increase the chances for developmental problems in your baby. Some research shows marijuana use during pregnancy may make it hard for your child to pay attention or to learn, and these issues may only become noticeable as your child gets older. Now, notice how their claims are still hesitant in their strength. There is still much research to do. However, the research is clear. There is a risk for various developmental concerns associated with prenatal marijuana use. And as a parent, the question to ask yourself is that risk worth taking? Just like prenatal alcohol consumption poses a risk, so too does prenatal marijuana exposure. Even after a child is born, THC is easily passed through breast milk to the child. And just for those who want to ask about CBD oil, because THC is the main culprit to a lot of concern, the use of CBD oil is not supposed to carry the same risk. I have not been able to find research on prenatal CBD use.